Okay, imagine this for a second. You're walking through a forest,
Right.
and you hear this sound, like this deep howl. Not just any wolf.
Something different.
Yeah, bigger, more primal,
Hmm.
like from the past.
Okay.
What if I told you you could actually, like, walk among dire wolves
Oh,
again?
sounds like pure sci-fi.
Totally. But hold on, because 2025, it was a massive year, a real watershed moment for de-extinction. Changed everything.
It really did.
So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack the 5 biggest breakthroughs from 2025 in de-extinction?
Yeah, things that really move the needle.
Because this isn't just lab coats and theories anymore, is it?
Yeah.
It's real, it's funded, big money, and definitely controversial.
Oh, absolutely. And our goal here is really to dig into the sources. We've got papers, company stuff, analysis reports,
Right.
and pull out the key insights, help you understand what actually went down in 2025 and what it really signals for, well, for all of us.
Okay, let's dive right in. The biggest splash, the one everyone saw, has to be Colossal Biosciences, April 7th, 2025.
Yeah.
They announced the birth of these 3 canids, Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi. And they're presented as resurrected dire wolves. Media went wild.
Huge splash. Partly that Game of Thrones effect, you know.
Yeah.
Made dire wolves famous again.
For sure. But okay, unpack the reality for us. Were these really dire wolves?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Taxonomically speaking, no. They're not Enosandirus, the actual extinct species.
Oh, what are they?
They're genetically modified gray wolves, Canis lupus. Now, there's a significant genetic difference there. Think ancient cousins, maybe, separated by about 5.7 million years.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounds like a small percentage, like 0.5% difference in the genome, but that translates to over 12 million different genetic letters.
12 million. Okay, so definitely not a photocopy.
Not at all. It's more like sophisticated re-engineering.
So how did they do it then? How do you make a gray wolf into something like a dire wolf proxy?
It was pretty impressive, technically. First, they needed a good blueprint. They managed to piece together a really high-quality dire wolf paleogenome.
From old bones.
Yeah, from a 13,000-year-old tooth and even a 72,000-year-old ear bone. Really good data. Then came the editing. Using multiplex gene editing tools, think CRISPR-Cas9 but on a larger scale. And here's the crucial bit. They didn't splice in any ancient DNA fragments.
Right, you said. So they rewrote the gray wolf code.
Exactly. They made 20 precise edits across 14 different genes in the gray wolf genome itself, changing sequences to match the dire wolf versions.
Targeted edits for specific traits, I assume?
Precisely. They went for things like larger body size, that distinct wider head shape, a paler coat. Interestingly, they picked a known safe gene pathway for the coat color to avoid potential health issues linked to the original dire wolf pigment genes.
Smart. Well.
More powerful jaws based on the fossil record, and they even targeted genes potentially linked to unique howling patterns.
Howling patterns, seriously.
Trying to get the full package, I suppose. Then for the cloning part, they used a neat innovation, endothelial progenitor cells, EPCs.
EP.
Yeah, they're a type of stem cell you can get easily from just a blood draw. Less invasive than other methods, and they found it worked really well for cloning efficiency.
Okay, so they engineer the cells, make embryos.
Right, using standard somatic cell nuclear transfer, SCNT, the same basic tech used for Dolly the sheep, to create the embryos.
And then implant them.
Into domestic hound mix surrogate mothers, chosen carefully for health and size, obviously.
Got it. Okay, so the science is complex, but then came the language war. Colossal first said de-extinction,
I did.
but then quickly shifted to functional de-extinction when scientists pushed back. What was that about? Just PR?
It was definitely strategic, let's put it that way. Their definition of functional de-extinction is basically making an animal that looks like and is genetically similar to the extinct one.
So focusing on the function, the role it played.
Exactly. The aim isn't a perfect 100% genetic copy, which might be impossible anyway, but recreating the ecological role, the key traits. It was clever branding.
How so?
Well, it let them keep that exciting de-extinction buzz for investors and the public while giving them a scientifically, let's say, safer position against purist criticism.
Celebrity science, as you call it.
Yeah, it fits that mold, uses the pop culture hook, attracts VC money. The risk, though, is looking like spectacle over substance to parts of the scientific community.
Right, so big splash with the dire wolf proxy. But then there was another colossal announcement in March 2025, much quieter. The colossal woolly mouse.
Ah, yes, the Mammoth.
Sounds less impressive. What was the real point of that?
Don't let the name fool you. It was strategically vital. A critical proof of concept, really, for the big prize. The woolly mammoth.
How so? Why not just work on mammoths or elephants?
Because working with elephants is incredibly difficult. They're endangered, have a 22-month gestation period. It's slow, expensive, ethically complicated. The mouse. Short reproductive cycle. Genome is super well understood. It's a perfect, rapid, low-cost model system. It let them test their core genetic engineering principles and de-risk the whole mammoth project before trying it on elephants.
Makes sense. So how do you make a mouse woolly? Just edit a fur gene.
Oh, it was way more complex than that. That was the key achievement, actually. They successfully edited multiple genes at the same time, at least 7 in the mouse embryos.
To get a coordinated effect.
Exactly. To produce a complex phenotype package, they were recreating several mammoth traits, longer, wavier fur by hitting genes like FGF5 and KRT27, specific coat color, and crucially, altered fat metabolism for cold adaptation.
And did it work?
It did. The mice showed the traits they predicted. And this was huge because the edits were based on heavy-duty computational analysis comparing dozens of mammoth and elephant genomes.
So it proved their computer models could predict real-world results.
Precisely. It validated their whole bioinformatics pipeline, showed they could accurately link genes to traits.
Okay, so the mouse wasn't just a mouse. What does that mean for Colossal's bigger picture, then?
Right. The mouse itself isn't the product. The real product is that validated computational biology platform. It's likely powered by AI and machine learning.
The one they spun out.
Yeah, they're commercializing it as Form Bio. Already got $30 million in funding itself. This platform for predicting gene trait links, that's a core, super valuable asset.
With uses way beyond mammoths.
Absolutely. Human medicine, drug discovery, agriculture, you name it. It also showed they've mastered engineering coordinated sets of traits, phenotype packages. It's systems-level genetic engineering, a big step up from single gene edits.
Fascinating. Okay, so we have the flashy dire wolf Proxy, the strategic woolly mouse. But 2025 wasn't just about Colossal's big mammals, was it?
Not at all. Some arguably harder technical challenges were tackled in Marsupial and Avian de-extinction projects.
Showing these are becoming platform technologies.
Exactly. Applicable across whole classes of animals. Let's talk Thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger.
Always a popular candidate. What were the hurdles there?
Big ones. Marsupials have that super short gestation, tiny underdeveloped young, makes standard cloning tricky.
So what were the breakthroughs?
First, an incredibly complete Thylacine genome map, 99.9% complete, they claimed, from a 110-year-old museum specimen head. Amazing detail.
Wow.
They also did RNA analysis to figure out what genes were actually doing. Then the editing. They managed over 300 unique genetic edits in a single cell from a Dunart.
Dunart.
A small marsupial, the closest living relative they're using as the base. Colossal claimed it was the most edited animal cell to date.
Okay, massive editing capacity. What about making the actual animal?
Progress there too. Developing marsupial-induced pluripotent stem cells, iPSCs, figuring out how to trigger ovulation on demand in Dunarts. All crucial steps for cloning or assisted reproduction.
And you mentioned something even more futuristic.
Yes, the prototype artificial uterus. They reported keeping fertilized single-cell marsupial embryos alive and developing up to mid-gestation outside a surrogate.
Whoa. So potentially skipping surrogates altogether one day.
That's the moonshot goal. It would be revolutionary, not just for thylacines, but potentially many species, maybe even humans down the line.
Okay, mind blown. Now, birds. The moa, the dodo.
Yeah.
How on earth do you clone a bird? No uterus, right?
Correct. You can't clone a bird like a mammal using SCNT.
The breakthrough here is different. It's about manipulating primordial germ cells, PGCs.
The cells that become sperm and eggs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The process is extract PGCs from an embryo of a living relative, say an emu for the giant moa.
Okay.
Edit the genome of those emu PGCs to carry the desired moa traits, then inject those edited PGCs back into a different developing emu embryo.
So you get a mixed bird.
You get a chimera. Physically, it would look like an emu. But crucially, its reproductive system would carry and produce sperm or eggs containing the edited MOA proxy genetic information.
Ah, so you breed 2 of these chimeras.
And potentially get a MOA proxy chick.
Clever. But still sounds incredibly hard. What's the big bottleneck? For something huge, like the 12-foot MOA, you'd likely need a fully functional, high-tech artificial surrogate egg to develop it in. That technology is still very much under development.
Right. So looking at the thylacine and bird work, what's the bigger conservation angle here? Is it just about bringing back these specific species?
I think the key takeaway is that solving these really hard technical problems forces the creation of fundamental new tools.
Like toolkits.
Exactly. Think of a marsupial genetic rescue toolkit or a biotechnology for bird conservation program, which is something Revive and Restore explicitly talks about too.
So the flashy de-extinction projects justify the R&D for tools that help living endangered species.
That's a major part of the justification, yes. These platforms could help hundreds of species facing genetic bottlenecks or reproductive challenges. It broadens the impact beyond just the headline species.
And you mentioned the MOA project had a unique partnership.
Yes, with the Ngai Tahu Research Center in New Zealand, and filmmaker Sir Peter Jackson is involved too. It's an attempt to frame it differently, not just Western science, but potentially cultural restoration, bringing back a lost toanga or treasure.
But it's complex.
Very. There's internal debate within Maori communities about whether a genetically engineered proxy truly represents the original lost species and its cultural significance. It's not a simple narrative.
Okay, fascinating stuff on the tech side. Let's shift to the business angle. 2025 really seemed to cement two different ways of doing de-extinction, didn't it?
Absolutely. Two clear models emerged. First, you've got the Colossal model.
The big VC-backed one.
Right, a for-profit C Corp, huge valuation, over $10 billion by then, hundreds of millions raised. Their approach is twofold. Yes, ecological restoration, but also explicitly being a technology incubator.
Like NASA funding tech for the moon landing.
Kinda, yeah. Their main business plan isn't selling woolly mammoths at the zoo. It's licensing or spinning out the valuable IP and technologies they create along the way.
Like FormBio, the software company.
Exactly. FormBio, that plastic-eating tech company called Breaking, they even have patents related to elephant cancer resistance genes, potential human therapeutics, and lab-grown embryos. The de-extinction projects are the engine driving that tech development.
Okay, that's one model. What's the alternative?
The Revive and Restore model. They're a nonprofit, a 501c, funded by philanthropy, raised over $41 million.
Different mission.
Completely. Their goal is to catalyze the responsible use of biotech within mainstream conservation. They act as conveners, ethical guides, honest brokers.
And their focus isn't strictly de-extinction.
Less so. More on genetic rescue for currently endangered species. Think cloning the black-footed ferret or Przewalski's horse to boost genetic diversity in existing struggling populations.
So success for them looks different.
Totally. It's measured by whether conservationists actually adopt and use these tools effectively, not by valuations or patents.
So we have this dual-track system now. What does that signify for the field?
It's a sign of maturation, I think. You have the high-risk, high-reward moonshot approach with Colossal, fueled by venture capital and aiming for huge breakthroughs.
And the more incremental, applied science approach.
With Revive and Restore, focused on near-term conservation impact and ethical guardrails. They compete, sure, for attention for talent, but they also represent different philosophies about how this power should be developed and used.
It also brings up that Trojan horse idea you mentioned.
It does. Is the save the animals narrative making it easier to develop technologies like advanced gene editing, stem cell tech, and especially artificial wombs or exogenous development?
Technologies with huge implications for humans.
Profound implications. For human genetic engineering, reproductive medicine. The argument some sources make is that framing the R&D around conservation makes these ethically complex areas seem less alarming to the public and regulators.
Food for thought. Okay, so the tech exists, the business models are forming, but the actual arrival of living proxies in 2025 must have supercharged the debates, right? Moved it from if to now what?
Instantly. The debate shifted from hypotheticals to concrete reality. Take the ecological debate.
Rewilding versus the risks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Colossal and other proponents push the rewilding angle, put functional proxies back to restore ecosystems, mammoths fighting climate change by restoring the steppe, thylacines controlling pests in Tasmania.
Sounds good in theory.
But the counter-argument from skeptics is strong. Unpredictable consequences. Remember, rabbits in Australia. Invasive species are a real risk.
Ecosystems have moved on without them.
Right. And these proxies aren't perfect copies. They won't have the learned behaviors. Could they disrupt food webs, become pests themselves? Huge questions.
And then the ethics. That must have exploded too.
Big time. Animal welfare is front and center. You've got the welfare of the surrogates going through invasive procedures, high failure rates.
And the proxies themselves.
What are their lives like? Could the genetic engineering lead to unforeseen health problems later on? Arthritis, organ issues. That's the worry with pleiotropy 1 gene affecting many traits. And their fundamental status, what is a dire wolf proxy, complicates how we think about their welfare needs.
Beyond the animals, what about the human side of the ethics?
The big one is resource allocation, opportunity cost. Critics hammer this point. Are the hundreds of millions pouring into colossal better spent on protecting existing endangered species with proven methods, saving habitat, fighting poaching?
Colossal argues it's new money.
Right. They do, that it attracts investment that wouldn't normally go to conservation. But the debate is fierce. And then there's moral hazard.
The idea that if we can reverse extinction, we won't try as hard to prevent it.
That's the fear. And there was that alarming example reported in 2025, the Trump administration supposedly mentioning the dire wolf de-extinction as a reason why maybe we don't need such strong protections for living endangered species.
Yikes. That's exactly the worry.
It crystallizes the risk perfectly.
It really feels like two separate conversations are happening. The can we versus the should we.
Absolutely. There's a real schism. You have the engineers, the technologists, focused on overcoming the technical hurdles, the can we.
And the ecologists, ethicists, conservationists.
Asking the should we questions, looking at the broader consequences, the wisdom of it all. And frankly, these two camps often seem to talk past each other. That communication gap is a major risk.
And what does this functional de-extinction push mean for conservation itself?
It's forcing a potential redefinition, moving conservation from just preserving what's left to actively engineering ecosystems.
Like using a cold-resistant elephant to change the Arctic.
Exactly. That idea, using an engineered animal to proactively reshape an environment for climate mitigation, that's a radical shift from traditional conservation philosophy. It's interventionist. It's engineering on a massive scale.
So wrapping up 2025, it feels like the floodgates opened. De-extinction is undeniably here, in some form.
No longer science fiction. Tangible, complex, messy reality. Functional proxies exist, the tech is accelerating, the industry structure is taking shape.
What should we be watching for next? What are the key milestones?
Okay, a few big things. First, the artificial womb egg race. Progress in growing complex embryos entirely outside a body. Ex utero gestation, that's maybe the single biggest technical hurdle left. Success there would be revolutionary, far beyond de-extinction.
What else?
The first actual rewilding experiment with proxies. Will they integrate? Will they fulfill that ecological function? Or will they cause problems? That first real-world test is critical.
And the rules.
The regulatory response. How do we classify these things? How do we manage them? Current laws just weren't built for genetically engineered proxy species. Governments need to catch up, fast.
And maybe watch Colossal's next move.
Definitely. What's their next commercial spin-out? What new tech emerges from their pipeline? That tells you a lot about the real underlying drivers and potential applications of all this R&D.
It really feels like 2025 handed us this incredibly powerful toolkit for editing life.
It did.
But the big question left hanging, maybe for you, the learner, is this. We're gaining this almost godlike power to engineer life, to reshape ecosystems. But are we cultivating the wisdom to match? How do we use this power responsibly beyond the simple stories we tell ourselves from sci-fi?
That's the ultimate question, isn't it?
Heavy stuff to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into a truly wild year for de-extinction. Keep asking questions, keep exploring. We'll see you next time. Time.